Good afternoon. My name is Cozy Stone. Welcome back to Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition. If you're looking at my face, it's not true because we had technical difficulties, but it is Tuesday. My guest today is going to be Angelique Daniels. And if you take a deep breath but not hold it, we will be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
Welcome back. And our guest today, as I mentioned a moment ago, is Angelique Daniels. Angelique, come on in. Hey there, how are you?
I'm good. We're here.
Yes. You know what? I like to compare technology to uh, a child. You had children because that's why you're on the show, and you've been out, or we see people and they'll say, "Well, show Miss Cozy how you can do your ABCs," and the kid says, "I don't wanna." That's To me,
I
that's
get
a
it.
great analogy for technology. When all is said and done, technology will mess up a wet dream. Right? So I know I say some things and then just forget I'm supposed to be serious at this hour. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have another what I consider very outstanding parent. And you say, well, what makes her such an outstanding parent? For one reason, she is raising and is producing responsible adults. That's what this show is about. And before we go further, I always like to say, we know there is no such thing as a book that teaches parenting. We know there's no such thing as a perfect parent. Uh, Again, this show is to showcase parents who have put in the time, the love, the time, the attention to keep their children out of jail, to just keep them responsible adults. I really want to keep it serious. And more importantly, whoever you are, I don't know you. I am not parent shaming. I'm just trying to lay claim again to parents who gave birth and have just put their all into it. So before we get started, Angelique, I'd like to tell the audience a little bit about you, which got you to this point. So if you would tell us, where were your parents raised, and how old were they when they gave birth to you? So what part of the
Hmm.
country did your parents come from?
My mom from Louisiana and my dad from Ohio.
Louisiana, Ohio. Okay.
Mhm.
And how old were they when they became parents?
They were 19.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but
And
they
then
were when they had me. They were 24 and 25.
we've got that doggone static again. It's not coming from me this time. Now it's only coming from you. You can't hear it, can you?
No, not at all.
All right. Let's keep talking and see if it pray goes away because I can't keep my audience on hold.
Okay.
And where were you born with parents from two distinct places?
My dad was in the military, so I was born in Michigan. When when I finally came along, they were both in Michigan, Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay. I've been to Saginaw, Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah, I through one of my corporate jobs. selling cable. How old were you when you had your first child?
32.
Wow. That's back to back guests that I had who had their children at 32. So it goes without saying, well, it doesn't go without saying, were you, your husband's name is Will, right?
Yes.
Okay. Were you and Will married?
Yes, we were.
All right. So this is an assumption. I'm saying this out loud. So one follows the other. At 32, you decided to become parents.
Exactly.
So it's not an unplanned pregnancy.
Not at all.
No. See, it's a big difference. And I tell you, my guest last week, he was 32, his wife was 34. And let's see if your patterns are similar to his. So let's see, when you met Will, did you know at that time you wanted to have children with this particular man?
Nope.
So, which one of the qualities, number one or two or three, was it his beauty, his brains, or his body that you were most attracted to?
Beauty, no. It was his spirit that I was most attracted to. He was very kind, and he was very friendly, and like I had never seen before.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So my next question is best qualities, but you just said it. It was his kindness.
It was, yeah, absolutely, and continues to be. I'm just amazed at it, like really in awe of it. As we are spending more time together because we have an empty nest now, and it's even magnified even more through the last few months that we've been together with the empty nest.
That you still like each other.
Yeah, good thing.
Without the kids. So I won't ask you if you're having sex on the kitchen table because I don't want to know. There should be if you're not, but I didn't say that out loud. You already answered that.
My mom always said, don't do anything that you're not going to continue to do forever. So I have to do that a lot.
It's a good spot, but again, you didn't hear that from me. So once you found out you were pregnant, 32 or not, was it fear or fantasy that the doctor comes to you and he says, Mrs. Daniels, you're pregnant? What's the first feeling that went through your body? Fear or fantasy?
Actually, I don't really remember when the doctor told me that. I remember the home test. We did a home test because we actually were trying to get pregnant. So I think a rush of all those emotions, like, oh crap, we did it. We're doing it. This is for real. Like, oh my God. So a rush of all those emotions, but mostly this excitement, like, wow, we're really going to be parents. But again, that was the goal, so it wasn't like we were scared of it. We felt like we were ready for it, you know.
Okay. So you're both adults. You're both from different upbringings. Were there any differences as you're planning your family that you found that there were differences in his child rearing and your child rearing that had to mesh together or did not mesh together?
The great thing about Will and I, we're pretty evenly yoked on our moral and ethical standards. Even though we were brought up very differently, me in a two-parent household and him by a single mom, and then later on he was raised by his aunt and uncle because his mom had passed away. But ethically and morally, we were on the same page with what is right and what is wrong, and to be honest and to be kind and all those types of things. So that makes it a lot easier than if you have conflicts on what right and wrong are and how to like navigate life just in general. And we were pretty much on the same page with that. I learned a lot from him, like it's one thing to know it, but to watch someone actually live it out in daily life was a big deal. So we were pretty much on the same page with that. So regardless of our backgrounds, that made things a lot easier because we had common ground in what was right and what was wrong.
And the reason I ask that question, and I say this every week, and so people will get it, I often talk to people who the husband likes one thing, or the father, and the mom was raised another way, and one doesn't want to implement what the other one doesn't like, and that brings incongruity with the kids. Mom says I can, dad says I can't. One says there are repercussions, the other one says there aren't. Well, that's not a united front. So that's the reason I asked that question.
Yeah, it's really important that you have a united front. Like if it was a serious issue where I didn't know where he would sit on it, I would wait before I would say what my opinion is on it, or we would have like a family meeting so that we would talk about it first. But most things I was pretty confident where he was on the scale, whether it was going to be a yes or a no. The biggest conflict we had with the way we were raised is that a lot of times he wanted to give them everything. He didn't want them to suffer at all. And I thought like suffering was kind of a good thing because I didn't get everything I wanted and he didn't get everything he wanted. But we saw it differently. Like I saw it as like, but I managed it anyway. And so did you. But he had so much hurt in his childhood with losing both of his parents, and then still had some issues when he was raised by his aunt and uncle, that he wanted to protect them a lot emotionally. And I feel like, so there's good and bad, and you get through it, and then there's good and bad, and you get through it, and it always works out. So we would have little conflicts as far as that was concerned, like him just always, and not even necessarily like monetarily or anything, spoiling them with gifts. Or
No,
he would just
that
always.
you answered the question. That is, I just had to keep you talking. It comes about. It makes sense. It wasn't like you were born in the same household, had the same parents, had the same upbringing, and so that. Thank you. That's some of the things that comes about when you're trying to put two different lives together, right? And then raise two more lives outside of that. Did you live in a city once you got married, had your kids? Were there relatives? Where were your kids born? Here in Vegas?
Kids born and raised in Vegas. Can you believe that? Now that wasn't the plan. Ugh, I'm embarrassed when I even tell people that. I'm like, Vegas is a wonderful place as an adult. Terrible place to raise your kids. Absolutely terrible.
I'll say I won't go and get into that, but you can say it. You're a parent. Do either of your relatives live here to help give you guys some family support?
No, I really tried to get my mom to move out here, but my mom, she visited often, but she just really, really struggled with making that move to Las Vegas from Michigan. And
Right.
and that hurt me a little bit, but I had to understand where she was coming from. And she came a lot when they were little. She'd come every like 3 months or something like that. I have an aunt who is my father's sister, and she helped me a lot. And my grandmother was here, and my grandmother and my aunt helped me a whole lot.
Right.
So, but
And
they
and
were the only
again,
people I had.
no, it doesn't. It's not a matter of they were part of your village. And when you're raising kids, as I watched while I was being raised, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins, the next door neighbor, everyone can play a part in the betterment of your child. Just
Oh yeah.
even the tattletales that when we moved to New York, everybody wanted to tell on my mother's children, and they would tell. So knowing they were going to, they needed to tell because my mother had us under such trap. But knowing they were going to tell helped us stay somewhat in line. You know, you do something, you look around and say, "Oh shucks, they're going to tell my mother." So, and then in my younger life, I was in another city around cousins and aunts and uncles, and we were at each other's house. And I never had a babysitter growing up that wasn't a family member. First of all, my mother wasn't going anywhere, but the little place that she went was true. We were at a cousin's house, one cousin, my entire life. We moved to New York. I was 12, so we didn't really need a babysitter. So the next question is, all right, so you guys were planning this baby, planning your family. You can answer this, but I want to ask anyway. What were 3 things you considered before giving birth? Off the top of your head. If you have 1 or 2, but 3 things off the top of your head.
One was really selfish, like how fat am I gonna get?
No,
I've never,
no, that's a first.
I've never been a small girl, so I was
Right.
just like, good Lord, how big am I gonna get? And so that was one of my first thoughts.
Okay.
Because we had really planned it, there weren't really like the top 3 things, I guess, were how was I going to balance working and being a parent, and probably lastly financially, like how is this going to work? So those are my top 3. How fat was I going to get? Was number 1. And yeah, so
Okay.
so yeah.
Those would have been my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and 10th questions. The
But you
hell
be
with
different
that.
about skinny.
Oh,
You
no.
were skinny.
Oh, no. They were not messing up my damn 8-pack. I don't give a hoot who you are. So the next question is a general question. Thinking of your parents, aunt, uncle, cousins, brother, whomever, tell me 1 or 2 things that you can hear your parents, usually parents, saying in your head, in your ear, got into your head, stayed in your heart, that you say to your parent, your children, that you've said to your kids while you're raising
That people are always going to talk about you. They talk about Jesus Christ, and they're still talking about him today. That was a big one for my mom, because especially in those teenage years, there's always going to be someone talking bad about you or saying something about you. And if you can keep a secret, if somebody tells you something in confidence, and you should always keep that secret and make an oath to yourself that you'll always keep that secret, because then you won't be accused of gossiping. If you know what your standard is, you won't have to ever worry about somebody saying, well, she said this, or she said that, or he, I have a boy and a girl, said this, because you know that you don't repeat things like that. You don't gossip. So gossiping, the teenage years are by far the toughest years. And so those are 2 of the big things. Don't worry basically about what people say about you, and just keep your word. Like if somebody, entrusts you with something, just keep your word. And that's big in the girl world.
them. Interesting enough, your first one, I dated a boyfriend who used to say that. They talked about, he was a celebrity. He said they talked about Jesus Christ. Why wouldn't they talk about me? And I like
Still talking about.
yeah, if all right. So let's move on to your personal questions. And the first one, again, you may or may not have answered it, but here it goes. Were you prepared mentally, emotionally, and or financially to raise a child? Take one of them. Mentally, mentally, emotionally, and or financially, were you prepared? The other question was, what did you consider? Now, which one of those 3 characteristics did you have at your arsenal? Mentally, emotionally, or financially?
Okay, so the first part was, out of those 3 things, which one was I most prepared? Emotionally, financially, or was it
Emotionally, mentally, emotionally, or financially?
Okay, so in the beginning, I think financially was probably the biggest fear, I guess, if we had enough money. But
listen, the one you were most prepared for.
Oh, mentally, because emotionally, you're all over the place. Mentally, we thought we knew what we were doing because we strategized, right?
Right.
We're going to date. We're going to get the house. We're going to do the baby room. We plan for it. So mentally,
Yes.
that's the easiest part.
Yeah.
Mentally,
Well,
you
I
just
knew
write
that
it
answer.
down.
I knew the answer. I was just waiting.
Yeah.
Just from the answers you already given, that was a given.
Yeah.
So your
Yeah.
next question is, well, I guess you sort of answered that. You just answered, but here goes anyway. You can repeat. How do you prepare to be mentally? How did you prepare to be mentally ready? And you just gave part of that answer a moment ago. So if you can repeat yourself one
Yeah.
more time.
How did we prepare to be mentally ready?
Mhm.
We both knew that, we wanted to have children. And then I had a medical issue, and then it became more urgent to have children because I thought maybe I wouldn't be able to. So mentally, I got healthy first, and then we said, we're going to get a house and we're going to do this and that. You just kind of strategize, and then once you get in your 30s, you really feel hard pressed because of all the things that could happen. The medical risk increased drastically after, I think, 29 or something. So mentally, we did everything that we said we were going to do. We're going to, we both had decent jobs, and we're going to get a house, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. So mentally, that was how we strategized a little bit.
I don't know if we hit on this, but this is again a question that you chose. Give me 3 things you may have, but again, let's repeat it because it needs to be repeated. 3 things you considered before becoming a parent. I think that I asked that above, but let's go over it again. 3 things you considered before, again, you're married, you're planning your family, you're prepping for it. What are 3 things off the top of your head? All right, Will, we're going to have this kid. We need to be ready for or consider what?
Who's going to help us? Like you're saying, your support system was extremely important. How are you going to balance work and being a mom, or work and being a dad? How are we going to balance those things? And lastly, just the financial part. Do we want the kids to go to college? Are they going to go to private school? Do we live in a good neighborhood? All those, things. Are we going to move again? Is this house okay? That was last because, you have a little while to think about that kind of stuff. But those are the big 3.
It's interesting having back-to-back parents over 30 and you're almost mimicking one another. And that is the difference, folks, when please take it the vein in which I'm saying this. When responsible adults decide to raise responsible adults, you've had enough time in your life to consider all the ifs, ands, maybes, and whens, which is not readily goes through your head if you've not lived enough of life to understand the bumps and grinds that come along with bringing another human being into this world. Let's go to your next question. 3 things you wish you knew before becoming a parent.
How hard it really is. It really is a tough job. How financially you figure it out. Don't worry so much about money. You'll figure it out. And that you're responsible forever. And you kind of know that, but you don't really know it till you're in it. That your heart is living outside yourself forever. Forever.
Uh-huh.
That's big.
You don't
really understand that until you have a child. You don't really understand that. You're not constantly in a state of worry, but it's a concern
But you are.
that you have.
Yeah,
Are they
but
okay?
you are.
And you just want them to be okay, because this is tough, this life thing.
So once you become, this isn't part of your question, this is what I want to throw in. So you've become a parent. You just said all the things that you wish you knew. Once you became a parent, did you take time to reflect back to your parents being a parent and what they went through that you may not have given any kind of weight to while they were raising you, but now you're walking in their shoes. Did that come about as you were bringing your kids up?
Absolutely. And I've even done the math because my parents did some crazy things because they got divorced. They were married 20 years
Okay.
and they got divorced. And that's still probably one of the top five most devastating moments in my 54 years on the planet is my parents getting divorced. So, so I reflect, and then they both had different partners after, almost immediately afterwards. And I was 15 in high school, which are, that's a tough time, those teenage years. And so I've actually done the math to just figure out how old were they when they were acting crazy like that. And then you kind of try to rationalize why they were acting like that. And then I come to the conclusion, like I'm sure that everyone does as we mature, that they did the best that they could do. They really did the best that they could do. And those 15 years that they were together was great for me I was the middle child, so everything always seemed great to me. My older sister has a different view. My younger brother has a different view. But I would say, and relatives have told me that I'm the most well-adjusted one out of the three, out of the three of us. But I've absolutely looked back, and to me, one of the important things were when I had children is that I never wanted to get divorced. Like whatever it was for real for me to death do we part. Like we're gonna work on this, at least while the kids are in the house. We're gonna work on this, and we're gonna get through whatever it is outside of substance abuse or physical abuse. We were really going to stay together and raise these kids together no matter what. I really, really, really did not want to ever have my kids go through that pain of divorce. I think that was devastating. And my family, my mom and dad never argued or anything in front of us, so I didn't even know anything was going on really. It just was it was kind of shocking, and I'm proud to be able to say that we were like they're not from a broken household, that they had both their mom and dad, and yeah, Las Vegas is rough. Well, any part of the country is rough, but not many of my kids, not many of my kids' friends had parents that were both parents in the home. Not many at all.
Right.
Maybe one or two.
Right. Well, let me tell you a quiet secret. And in my one defense, so probably lots of Vegas, has nothing to do with Vegas. It has to do with the commitment. And I think it probably has more to do with God giving you the right partner. Right?
Absolutely.
You two got the right partner. I think anyone listening would probably say, well, we didn't intend to get divorced. We didn't go down that aisle and say I do and promise till death do you part to get divorced 2 months later, or 2 years later, or 12 years.
Yeah.
Right.
But some people are more committed and some people are more committed than others,
Yeah, but again, they also look up, and the two things, as you mentioned, he wasn't physically abusive, he wasn't abused drugs. You were fortunate to get, I can only say, the right partner for you. Because
absolutely,
you can be as patient as you want, and if you've got a disharmony in your home, that's not going to be good for anyone. Let's move on to your last question, and you can take your boy or your girl, or let's see, what were your favorite year or years and why? Let's do if it's the same for both of them, then what was the favorite years and why?
Okay, so I picked that question because there really was no favorite. I actually enjoyed every single process because looking back and watching them develop, there is joy in like every step of the way. When they were little tiny babies, when they couldn't talk back to you, and and they smelled really good, and you just loved to snuggle. I nursed both of them, So just snuggling with them all the time, that was wonderful,
Okay.
And then watching them have their first steps was wonderful. And that first day of kindergarten, I was so excited for that. When now the mothers were crying, and I didn't understand why they were crying. I was like, I took the whole, half the day to myself. But I enjoyed watching them. I mean, that was great. They're going to school, not just for me, but for them. It was about watching them just develop their personalities. High school, again, teenage years, high school, that is just. And I'm going to say that I enjoyed even that because it challenged me at my faith.
And patience.
Patience. All the years I studied personal development, it was some deep reflective moments, my listening skills, because, this whole generation, you have to listen. They think they're right. They, being, making them be respectful, but also allowing them to express themselves and their opinions. Like my daughter wanted to get these piercings, that septum thing, and it was no, 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 no. My daughter wrote 3 essays. I didn't ask her to write an essay. She wrote 3 essays saying why she wanted to or why I should allow her. And that's the 3rd essay that I did not ask for. I finally said, you know what, if you're willing to fight for something as much as you're fighting for this, yes, you go get that septum. You go get that. Because she has some valid points. I said, still don't like it. Don't like it. I don't want you wearing it with grandma's here. But if you're willing to fight for something. So I've learned something along the way. Like, it's so challenging if you look at it as a growing experience, not just for them, but for you as well. Like, I really enjoyed every step. And right now, my son is in Poland, because of the Ukraine conflict. That's the word I'm choosing. And that's tough. And he says, Mom, I joined the Army because I wanted to be more independent. I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to be stronger mentally and physically.
Wow.
What can I say to that?
Wow.
And even now he says, don't call me every day. Don't email me every day. Yes, I have to make an appointment. I'm like, I'll send him goofy things. And I'm like, can we talk this weekend? And he's only just turned 22 last week.
Right.
And then my daughter's having some struggles at UNR because she wants to be at home. She misses home. She appreciates home. Okay. I love that.
Right.
And she says, but I said, you want to transfer to University of
UNLV.
UNLV. I said, you have choices. You always have choices. You don't have to stay there. And she said, no, Mom, this is better for me. I have to be stronger. I have to navigate. And I'm like, okay. It's important to me that they know they have choices.
Right.
I'm still a mom. Like, I want to save my baby. But I love that she said that. No, Mom, this is better for what I'm going to school for. I'll make you. So I'm enjoying every step of the way. It's a conscious decision, though, to enjoy every step of the way and to take everything very, very seriously. Like that she's feeling lonely, that she's feeling this way while she's in school. Like my son, his deployment got extended, and first time and I talk to them and I take it like it's a serious job. Like I just don't say, oh, whatever, they're gone, they'll figure it out. Like I figured it out. You're always a parent, like forever. And moms, we take it a bit more, we feel it more, I think. Like I can feel that my son is like the deployment's wearing on him a little bit. He hasn't said it to me, but I can feel it. I can hear in my daughter's voice, but I know that she's going to be okay because we built this solid foundation. I always tell them, you can always come back. And my mom did that for me. Even though my parents got divorced, my mom has her house in Michigan. I know I could go back there anytime I wanted. I could go back there right now if I wanted to. And that's really important to me that we have this foundation that they can always, you don't have to take anybody's crap. You can always come back here. You got your mom and you got your dad, you can always come back here. And God bless that we're still here.
But the fact that you built this foundation and gave them such a cement to stand on, That's what a parent's job is. You're there to help pick them up if they need you. But doing your job as you and your kind does, she's toughing it out. I was raised to be strong. I was raised to be independent. I have the skills. I have the life skills. They both have the life skills, and they're both in situations where, quote unquote, they couldn't see it coming, but that's what life is about. And then that's what parenting is about. Go out, explore. I'm behind you. It's, I guess, teaching them how to walk, right? Before they fall backwards, you're behind them to help keep them up. Very same analogy. But when they've got that foundation, I'd say maybe they go out more on faith, but they don't have faith. They got parents. They've got.
Yeah, it does. And I would lean on that when they were going through a hard time. We're here for you. You know what I mean? And that gives that whole self-esteem, piece that people have comes a lot from their upbringing, the strong mom that you had, and how she always instilled in you could do anything, and you even said that she was always home. She was always there. So when you know that somebody's got your back, and that's the same, like, we're not talking about marriage, but it's the same kind of thing. When you know that, to me, that's the best part about marriage, that I know that without a doubt, somebody's got my back. Like, I don't even have to guess, that if I need something, Will's going to drop what he's doing. And if he needs something, just the fact that somebody has your back makes you more confident, as a person, which is, like for them, that somebody has your back. And if your kids don't have, like, good self-esteem or good self-confidence about themselves, they'll fall for anything at school. They'll fall for anything with their friends. Both my kids were more the leaders in their group, and were always the people trying to help or talk to people or tell us what their friends were going through. And that's why I keep referencing Las Vegas. And again, it might be a sign of the times, because a lot of their friends were going through a lot of crazy stuff that were kind of the kind of thing you would find in a city like this, So a lot of probably substance abuse and everywhere. Like my son had a best friend where the mother was a stripper and the dad was a DJ, and so they were gone all the time at night, and he just wanted to hang over there all the time because guess what? No parents are there. So that's the kind of thing that I say Las Vegas because there's a lot of different things going on here.
And to add to that for a quick moment, I have to say this because I mean it from my heart. It doesn't help when you're young and you don't know better. You don't have the life skills to give. And so again, if somebody's listening, if you got a teenage daughter or son, talk to them about protection. Talk to them about the realities. Even tell them what you went through. I had a lady on a show, another great show. All my shows have been fabulous. And she says she sits down with her kids every month. They want this. She said our kid wanted a $600 baseball bat. She sat him down and showed him, this is what the budget looks like. He got a part-time job. He got his bat. They know. Yeah, they know the realities of life. It's not saying she doesn't get them some of what they need or most of what they need, but any kind of extracurricular, this is adult life. This is what mortgage is. This is what a car insurance is. This is what a car note looks like. This is what electricity, this air conditioning in Vegas for 5 months. That's not a bad thing. Because first of all, you don't have to pay it. But one day you will. Because they do talk to their kids about getting out of the house. And so again, I believe this is my 10th show. They're also rewarding for me and this is why I did this show. I listened to enough. The news and all the craziness was driving me nuts. And it doesn't take me long to figure most things out. We are, most of us, who we are, either from love, mostly from love. And it doesn't matter what that name is behind the love. Mom, grandma, aunt, uncle, cousin, friend of a friend. That foundation of love carries us through our lifetime. And when people don't get it, society is showing the ugliest part of not planning, not being ready. I've had people on here, they didn't plan their pregnancies. But everyone on here has what I call a responsible adult, or are raising. I had the first parent, she has young kids, are raising responsible adults. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important. So let's get to your fun question, because we lost time and I don't want to take too much more of yours. I love that you asked this question. Okay, if you could only eat 3 foods for the rest of your life, please tell me, what would they be?
Did I pick that fun question?
If you didn't, I picked it for you. I bet you. You know what? You probably didn't give me a fun question. There you have it.
Oh,
All right, so here it is. And this is what I'm going to do. Everybody doesn't give me that fun question. They have to ask what I answer. So, Angelique Daniels, if you can only eat 3 foods for the rest of your life, what would they be?
the first
Gotcha.
one. Oh, did it have to be solid? Can it be liquid?
I don't care what they are. They're your
Okay,
food.
so wine would be number 1.
Alcoholic, Las Vegas alcoholic. Good.
Yeah, well, I just enjoy wine and I enjoy painting. That's what makes me happy.
Okay.
Number 2 would probably be, I don't, oh my gosh, what are the things that I like?
So obviously you didn't pick this question because
I know,
you're
right?
not prepared.
Apples, so I can stay healthy, and then I need a protein. I'm gonna pick some kind of fish. There you go. Fish, apples, and wine.
I think that's a great combination, quite frankly. I want to thank you. You sweat me every time we get ready to do something because you're in your schedule, but you came through. You came through on time. You came on the show at the right time. It was not our problem that we had technical difficulties. You know how much I think of you. Again, we were no accident by the person that brought us together. She left and kept us together and even built a stronger bond. I don't plug anybody else's business, but she has wonderful coffee and paint. In fact, this Saturday, and I sent it out Sunday. I sent it out to about 30 women, so I know I have 2 that's coming with me.
Thank you.
Angelique Daniels is the epitome of a wonderful-hearted mom, wife, friend, I'm sure daughter, sister.
Thank you.
You have a great spirit. You are a giver to anyone and anyone that comes around you. Is what's his name going to be there on Sunday? The crazy guy, the one that helps me?
No, he's reserved for hip hop and paint.
Well, who's going to help me paint?
We have more time, and it's a more quiet, subdued atmosphere, so you'll be fine. Yeah, it's not hip hop and paint. It's more chill for a nice Sunday afternoon. But when I bring hip hop and paint back, it's going to be fierce. I'm planning right now. I'm planning for bigger, better venues, and so I'm planning to come out strong in 2023. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let's back up a minute. You invited me to something calm. That's not my thing.
It's so chill. Like, it's wonderful. It's kid friendly too, but they have to be like 12 and up because I don't want to run it all around. Yeah, I knew you would love it. So right. Yeah, it's my way of keeping myself in front of people while I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with hip hop and paint. I don't want people to forget about me, so I'm practically giving this thing away just so I can say in front of people, in people's heads, and it's still fun. You're going to be amazed. It's more. And
we'll talk after this. I have another way to get to a huge group, and I'll talk to you about it. So as I like to end my show with these words, the concept and the reason for this show is to hopefully add to parents who don't have a clue, who didn't give it all the insight, who never thought that this little baby that they brought home, I love to use Shaquille O'Neal, was going to turn into a kid. I just love you. I use Shaquille's name for everything. Come on. Do you think his parents thought one day they'd look at a 7-year-old who's 7 feet tall? Not in their lifetime. But not just the size of the kid, it's not going to be a child, but for maybe a year. And then it starts becoming what we know it to be as an adult, as a human being that turns into an adult. And so those of you who are pregnant now, those of you who are not being aware of how not to get pregnant, please give it more thought, because it's no longer, it becomes a societal problem. We have to help take care, and that comes in many shapes, sizes, and forms, and we see most of the ugliness on television. I'm just trying to help avoid some of that. So in conclusion, I like to say, when we know better, we do better. Miss Angelique, down the bottom of my heart, thank you for being my 10th guest. And I will be there Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to stay. I have to stay. I'm bringing this. I'll stay. Even if I have to drink coffee, I drink enough coffee, you're going to put me out. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon.
I love you too. I love you
All right.
too. Thank you for having me on. Take care.
Oh, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Hit the Leave Studios on. Oh, she left. Hell, I didn't have to tell her.